Pope Leo's visit to the tomb of St. Francis of Assisi is not a photo op, it's a thesis. Here is the successor of Peter flying in by helicopter, stepping down into a low stone crypt, kneeling before a man who spent his life running away from comfort, prestige and violence. And Leo himself said, it is happening at a time when the world is searching for signs of hope. That is the key to reading this visit. So let me sketch 4 threads that you could tease out of what Pope Francis is saying. The helicopter lands above the Umbrian plain, the motorcade climbs down into the medieval city of Assisi, and then everything narrows, down steps, past worn stone, giottos, frescoes, into a small circular space that holds the pillar with the Poverello's bones beneath the high altar of the basilica. It's deliberately unglamorous. No marble mausoleum, no bronze effigy. Francis is hidden in a column of rough stone like a buried seed. For Leo to make his first public words of the day here, and not in the grand upper church or in the platform above before the bishops, is already a choice. The papacy is locating itself under the altar, not above the people. And you can hear Leo stressing that paradox. A pope famous for talking about synodality and structural reform, choosing to start in silence in front of a friar whose only programme was to take the Gospels literally. And Leo explicitly links Francis to hope as the Church approaches the 800th anniversary of his death. That is not pious nostalgia. It's a grammar, Francis's grammar, a way of putting Christian sentences together in a shattered world. From the material of Francis, you can see what he was: a rich young man from Assisi, fascinated by war, who met humiliation and captivity and gradually heard Christ's call to repair my church by repairing his own life. A literalist of the gospel: leave everything, love enemies, embrace the poor, preach peace, do not pretend you believe it all. The man who crossed the lines at Damietta during the Fifth Crusade to meet the Sultan Al-Kamil got the opportunity to talk peace and to witness Christ without hatred. In Leo's terms today, bishops must become artisans of friendship, fraternity and authentic relationships, and a prophecy of peace to the world. That is Damietta translated into episcopal duty. Leo is essentially saying to his own bishops, if Francis could cross a battlefield to meet a Muslim ruler, you can cross your sacristy to meet victims of abuse, the poor of the diocese, those alienated from the church. You can also meet people of other faiths and find what you have in common. Leo's speech to the Italian bishops today is unusually blunt. He couples his prayer at the tomb with some rather Franciscan surgery on episcopal habits, and he insists that dioceses in Italy must keep being merged rather than clinging to historic titles and tiny fiefdoms. The norm of resignation at 75 is being taken seriously, with only limited exceptions for cardinals. The Church must learn how to take our leave rather than treating offices as private property. This is pure Franciscan theology of power. Francis founded a mendicant order that owned nothing, depended on begging, and refused the security of land and endowments. The early popes, frankly, thought his rule impossible because it cut so sharply against clerical instincts. Leo aligns himself with that impossible rule. His point is that structures which once served evangelization can become bunkers, and just as Francis walked out of the merchant class and the crusading mentality, so bishops are being told to walk out of the cultural Christendom, dense diocesan grids, social prestige, automatic deference, into a humbler, more exposed form of ministry. And then Francis, Leo stands by Francis' tomb and says he prays for peace in a time marked by fractures, nationality and internationality, war, technological dominion, loneliness, economic cruelty. He links that directly with two Franciscan concerns, peace and proximity. Peace, not as a romantic sentiment, but as a refusal to let religious language be captured by violence. Francis saw the blasphemy of holy war and walked unarmed into the camp of the supposed enemy. Leo, speaking in Italy, alludes to the same temptation today, religious language wrapped around nationalism, conspiracy culture, or culture war bitterness. He only has to look across at Patriarch Kirill. Proximity is, Leo hammers the idea of a synodal church that walks with people, listens, recognises wounds and accompanies victims of abuse. That is very close to Francis' insistence that you only really know your brother when he is sick, awkward, unhelpful, and you love him then. Crucially, Leo brings this into the digital age. He warns that pastoral work cannot just use media as a marketing tool. Christians must learn to inhabit the digital world humanly, so that truth is not suffocated by noise and connection doesn't mean contempt. That chimes exactly with Francis's attitude to creation. The web, like the forest or the market square, is a place where God's image shows up in neighbours, not a jungle to plunder. And it's not. I think it's not just a call to Christianity to see that. It's a call to all people of faith and of no faith to see that it's in the small things, it's in the little things, like St. David. Get the little things right and the big things follow. Look at the stuff around you. The stuff around us is now very much the web. It's very much our communication. Francis preached to the birds because they were there. Leo is asking bishops to preach and, more importantly, to listen to people in timelines and comment threads without surrendering to the cruelty those spaces can reward. So Francis is one of the few Catholic saints who travel easily across confessional and religious borders and boundaries. When I was a baby, I was named after him, and then I was adopted and given another name. But I think Francis is a very interesting character. He's venerated visually, even in some Orthodox churches in Crete. He's admired by serious Orthodox theologians and monastics for his holy simplicity, despite later sugary hagiography. He's claimed by environmentalists, animal-blessing Anglicans, even secular admirers of the spirit of Assisi as a symbol of peace. He was chosen as a namesake by Pope Francis and repeatedly invoked in Jewish, Christian and wider interfaith meetings in Assisi as a model of peaceful religious coexistence. Leo's prayer at the tomb, therefore, as we approach the 800th anniversary of his death, has a wider audience. When he prays for peace in Umbria, land of many saints, he is standing in a city where popes have gathered, Jews, Muslims, Hindus, Buddhists and others, to say together that violence and terrorism are opposed to an authentic religious spirit. I think they're opposed to the spirit of common humanity. Assisi has become the anti-Damascus, not the road where Christians persecuted others, but a place where religions asked to be converted away from religious totalitarianism and towards peace. Leo's visit quietly continues that line. The patron saint of animals, the friend of lepers, the man who called the Sultan brother, becomes the spiritual backdrop for a pope challenging his own bishops to protect children, welcome victims, heal polarization, and see every other as neighbour. So Pope Leo's day in Umbria today is carefully choreographed theology. Moving in the crypt with Francis, midday with the bishops in Pozioncula, afternoon with cloistered nuns in Montefalco, poverty, governance, contemplation. And his message is that the church will have nothing credible to say about peace, ecology, abuse, migration, technology or war if it does not first let the gospel strip it bare. At the tomb of St. Francis, Leo is not simply honouring a medieval saint. He is standing over a fault line in the church and in the world and saying, Hope will not come from stronger brands or better strategies. It will come from people, bishops, priests, laity, who, like Francis, risk being thought mad for taking the Sermon on the Mount literally. Or it will come from a church willing to lose face, lose territory, even lose diocesan lines on a map in order to win back the sanity of Christ. That is why a cold, rainy November morning in a stone crypt matters. The question Leo leaves hanging over us all is simple and devastatingly Franciscan. Are we prepared not just to pray at the tomb, but to let something important in us die there too, so that hope can be raised? It's not a message exclusive to Catholicism or exclusive to Christianity. It's a message exclusive to humanity. And it's a message that we should heed.